It's universal time.
It says 1:30 a.m.
It's
UTC time.
it's universal time. So anyway.
That shit doesn't even make sense to me. August 21st. That's weird. That's strange. It almost looks like it banned us for putting out content before it's been released publicly. Almost like we were to record a movie illegally or something.
We're on that wavelength. I mean, I don't know what to call it.
That's
We're
weird.
just we're just getting everybody in here. If you guys are here and you can hear me already,
You're gonna have
cool.
ads pop up though. Oh, I guess not on your own stream actually, right?
There's probably ads for people who don't already have it. So let's just talk for a second. I mean, we're here. There's people here.
People will
Wait
get
a
back
minute.
in.
People are probably on an ad for a second, so I'm gonna wait a second.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see ad.
You're just trying to boost your fucking followers, dude.
Yeah, I know, I'm just boosting. It was rainy, it was Fleurball, it was Mantis, it was Forget
No
Things,
Swat.
it was No Swad, it was fucking Kelly's Crew, it was Corn on
Bad league, brother
Xbox,
back.
Corn on
Puffer Dog.
Xbox, it was Puffer Dog, it
Puffer
was
dog.
Fireball
You actually have
Max.
problems?
It was all of them.
Imagine
They all did
united,
it. They
bro.
all did it. They all banned us, and that's fine. We're all here. I don't know what happened. Okay, listen.
It was Natron.
Pretty much everyone's back. Pretty much everyone's back. Yeah, all it
All
takes
right,
is that one
listen.
family to bring us down.
One of the crazy. I don't know. I don't know who did it. If it was the Justice, if it was Speed Demon, I don't know who did it.
Let's blame them. Yes, let's blame them right at the
Let's
beginning.
blame them. We'll blame them. But we're back in the rankings. We're here in the AAA. Guys are back. Gang's back. We're in the middle of it all. I don't even remember whose turn was it. Was it my turn, Mystery Man? Was it your turn?
As long as you get the right slide, we're good.
I think we're on the right slide.
We're on the Falcon slide.
Yeah, we're on the Falcons, so
Yeah, I said my piece. I think it's your job.
well, first and foremost, I don't know what happened. Second of all, we're gonna move on and mention that JD, Stacks, and the Pimps so far have been an interesting season for them. Kind of expected as things go, with the late edition. Been a bit inconsistent as of late. But he's done a pretty good job of kind of staying in games, and we'll see if he can produce some more wins against the bottom half of the table as it goes forward. Rise and Fall, as we know, is a big giant killer. He's already had a few wins against some tougher opponents like Ed, like the Anubis, aka Codfine, aka Cody. He's played Big O Brad. He's played the Moon Kingdom, or excuse me, not the Moon Kingdom, the Moon Mammoths. That's going to be confusing for a while. He's picked up his 6 wins, but Rise always wants to do better. He just tends to lose games to a lot of the top half opponents. And then Too Easy's really looking to up his game. I mean, 4-10. He's still kind of hanging in there. He's definitely not out of it. He's not quite in it, but scoring more than he did last season and still pitching well. I think he's got something to be proud of so far in the early goings. So, interesting crew. And now that we are no longer interrupted, we'll move on up the board to 13, 14, and 15, where we see Mystery Man at 7 and 15, followed by Legit Fire and the Sandcats at 5 and 12, and Big O Brad and the Owls at 7 and 9. A bunch of different types of records here at 13, 14, and 15. All these players, I think, ready to punch up.
Yeah, I Big Brad had a nice day today. I think, if you look at the record, 7 and 9 is gosh, it seemed like he was doing terrible just 3 or 4 days ago, and all of a sudden grabbing some W's against myself, against some other credible players. So nice to see Big O Brad get going. Legit Fire, a lot of close games. Still getting acclimated. I think Legit Fire is at best a a potential dynasty type just based on his hitting style. And already, 5-12 as a rookie is pretty good. And then myself, just atrocious underachievement. There's really no excuse.
Yeah, I mean, definitely more that you want to be working towards in an early season and a AAA season such as this one, especially, with it being season 20, you want to be higher up in the table. But 7-15, you feel tough at 8 under, but 7 good wins can parlay into some more wins later. So Mystery Man, don't be feeling too down and out just yet. We got Legit Fire in the Sandcats as well. I think looking good. The runs scored leaving a lot to be desired here. I guess in this whole crew, all of them really under 3 or at 3, being Mystery Man. I mean, you want to score more, but with Legit Fire in particular, he's pitched so well that any type of runs above 2.3, 0.2 would get him a good handful more wins. And then Big O Brad's, he's coming up from the AA with the championship, so he's not quite hanging his head. But he's just got a little bit more to be desired there on the success front. 7-9 is not a bad record though. That is pretty good. He's nearly 500 here in this grouping. So we'll see how his season continues to go. Let's check out now in the AAA ranks 10, 11, and 12. It's Eduardo and the Sirloins at 10 and 10 and 500, followed by Codfine and the Anubis, aka Cody's 13 and 11 after an insane start to the season with those record shattering run scoring games. And then Simon and the Smelly Sox, he's been kind of up and down here to start the season, scoring a lot and then not scoring a lot. It's been quite interesting to see the trajectory that they are on.
Yeah, it's really interesting to, after the hot start by Cody, to find himself mired in on the same slide as the underachievers. The Smelly Sox, we really expected a much better season last season, and now it's continued into this season. The run scored is high, the runs allowed is not good. Again, there's so much potential with Simon. He just needs to put it together. Cody, don't get discouraged. We all have bad runs. I think we all knew, he had such a hot start, it didn't really make a lot of sense. But he certainly is an above 500 player and could be a dangerous playoff opponent. And then Ed, 10 and 10. I mean, it's almost Mystery Man territory. This just isn't good enough for him.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, 20th strength of schedule, no wins against players above 500 for Eduardo. Is he cherry picking at the bottom, or is he just failing to win any games against anybody who matters? I mean, it's kind of not the trajectory you want to be on if you're a Meat fan this season. But we'll see, right? I mean, Eduardo, he's got a picture of a game that he won against me on his wall, but I think I'm like 7-0 against him, or 7-1 against him since then, or some weird number like that. But who's counting, right? We'll move on now to COD. COD's doing well this season. But I've never seen anyone give up such a close run scored per 9 and runs allowed per 9 when they're both above 7. So that's just, I mean, you're doing historic stuff, like regardless of what you're doing, whether you're giving it up or scoring. So some are good, some are bad. Maybe work on the ones where you're giving up some runs. And then the Smelly Sox and Simon, I think, just not quite off to any type of actual start yet. I mean, we'll see Simon do more later. He needs to give up less runs, but he's clearly scoring quite a bit. So we'll see him probably push towards the top half as the season goes on. I like this crew, though. This is a really good-looking crew that can definitely sneak up on you no matter what you're doing. These are all players you're going to drop a game to, in my opinion, if you're not on your best day. Move up to 7, 8, and 9, where we've got the Moon Mammoths and Corn Central, followed by the Hippies and Ricks and the Base Bandits and No Name. The Ricks and No Name both a little bit quiet here to start the season. We'll see more games out of them. I think they've got barely 10 games combined. But Corn's done a good job for himself at 24 games at 14 and 10. What do you think, Mist?
Well, I'll be blatant about this. Bandito, just, I don't know if he's drunk or what he's doing, but this is a an X Von Asen that has proven he can easily hold opponents to an average of under 3 runs. So whatever 6 point something is, I'm not even going to comment on that. The Hippies, a nice start. Need to get in here and play some more games, but we love the Hippies. Hippies could potentially, an ex-finalist could be there again. And then Korn is he's that firecracker that you don't want to play when he's on his game because it's nasty. And he actually can pitch as well. So even 14 and 10 is underachievement.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are looking towards Korn to continue to succeed in this season. In his most recent series, before the one that I played versus him, he had split with Ty in a really exciting fashion, and I think his bat has just shown that he can really lock in this season. So as the season wears on, he's got more games to play. He's at 24, but he's still got to think about 16 more, and he could push that record well above 500. Now Rick's at the opposite side of the spectrum. He's got 20 games less than Korn does, has plenty to play, and can do more, and will show us what the Hippies can do. This is a top 4 type player on his best day, so who knows really what we're looking at when it comes to Rick's until the ball gets rolling. Now, No Name swept me, then split Ty, that got swept by Spliff, and then played 1 game versus Eduardo. He's got the #1 strength of schedule. Now, this dude's a complete maniac, as we know. We've seen him do it time and time again, season in, season out. The erratic play style, the up and down fortunes, always finds him in the top 10 at the very least. So we'll see what this AAA season brings. I mean, if he locks in, again, he's a top 4 player, easily. But will he be that player? That's yet to be seen. We're only in the first round up here as things go. Let's head on up the board right now to ranks. I believe it is, excuse me, missed a slide there. Sorry, I'm having a bit of a malfunction on my slides. There we go. We are at 4, 5, and 6. Sorry about that. And there's a tie for number 5. It's between the Cacti, Albrat, and the Lecheros, aka Skull, aka Unholy Jesus, aka the Milks. And then Spliff's over there at rank number 4. He's slid down from rank number 2. But the players beneath him, as I just mentioned, moved up the board quite a bit. Mystery Man, do you have anything to say about this crew?
Oh, I got a lot to say here. So the Milks, the Milk should be leading this league. This is a joke. Just get the pitching, get the RA down to even 6. This is one of those rare plays. Even if we got the RA down to 6, it would be a cakewalk. 5 would be even more of a cakewalk. The Cacti, kind of a weird situation. Really relying on the pitching. The hitting has been there. I don't know. Moving up from double A, I'm not sure. I want to believe in Albrat. I think he's a great player, but it seems like a hot streak. So I'm not sure quite yet, but he's doing really, really well. And then Spliffy, 20. This is a regular season player. So Spliffy, I expected this to be 25 and 5, not 20 and 10. So the bat really hasn't been quite as good as last season. I do love the pitching though, which is not unusual, but considering he's jacked up his pitchers, it really hasn't been that much of an improvement. So I think Spliffy hasn't locked in quite yet.
Yeah, I think I can agree with you. I mean, Skull, not a ton of games played, but easily can hit with more than the best of the AAA's ever had to offer. So he'll continue to do so as things go on. But he needs to really mitigate those runs allowed. I mean, that's just pitching with your eyes closed, as they say, on the streets. So we'll see if he does better from there, but still good enough for a top 5 ranking. Albrat, well deserving of the top 5 ranking here. This is a huge jump for Albrat and the Cacti. I think this is super impressive. The runs scored being the eye-popping factor and the batting average. I mean, Albrat never been known for scoring runs, only ever been for pitching and 2-run game type style. So this is a really good change. And, you know, if it continues for the Cacti at 13-3 and beyond, I think it'll be a good story of progression, you know, and working hard and things like that. It'll be a really good success story for Albrat. Now, Spliff, like you said, missed. I think not hitting to the way that he can. Never been the most gifted hitter, but he's not quite there because he's pitching so well, so well. He has to do himself a favor by picking up that pitching. Or excuse me, that hitting. He has, but at the same time, picking up the pitching with your hitters. You have to support yourself, support your team, support your teammates in that sense. But you know, the run scored per 9, about a run differentiated. So I think he'll have his fair share of success this season. Now we'll move on to the AAA top 3, and it is Dynasty and the Tyrannics with their huge run scored per 9 at rank number 1, followed by Clocksmiths and Hate, well deserved at rank number 2, and then myself and the Motor Sox at rank number 3. A ton of games played for myself, but the things to highlight here I think are for the other 2 players, especially with the way they score some runs. What do you think, Mist?
Well, I wouldn't have agreed with this. I think a few days ago, before I played the Tyrannics, I would have said Hate. But the Tyrannics are hitting even better than I actually thought was the case. So I do think that the Tyrannics have, and if you just look at the record, have for sure earned that spot at the top. The Hate playing fantastic ball. I played him pretty tough. Actually, that was one of the few series that I actually was not completely lost. And then and I like Hate's pitching. Hate's a good pitcher. See, that's the thing. Ty is an okay pitcher. Hate is a very good pitcher. Actually, he's very risk averse. He's not so different from, you know, the Ricks and the Heismans, the Spliff Stars that can really make you use your eye, or else you're just totally hosed. And then you know, yourself, really the kind of the surprise breakout in a way, in that you're not really typically a regular season player, but at the same time have you know, there's been a couple tough losses, maybe 2, maybe 3 at the most, and then there's been a lot of great wins. So I think the motos on the top slide certainly for sure well earned.
Yeah, definitely appreciate hearing that from you, Misto. First and foremost, we'll start with the Clocksmiths, who swept me earlier in the season. You know, well deserved of the rank above me here at rank number 2. At 9-1, definitely want to see more games played, but the runs scored per 9 have proven to be really tough to beat. Now the pitching against certain players, leaving a little bit to be desired. I mean, I've played 24 games, you've played 10. The walks almost the same amount. So we'll see if those walks end up coming to hurt the player that is Hate. I mean, pitching in this league can be so particular. It's really about who you face and when. Now Ty, on the other hand, doesn't really pitch at all. He's really relying on that 10 plus runs scored per 9, and it's proven to be a 15-3 record so far. But will that get him through a 7-game series against players that can keep games close? And who are those players going to be? That's kind of yet to be determined. In the early season rankings, I think extremely well deserved. And then when it comes to myself, yeah, I think probably the best AAA season I have. If you want to look at the raw numbers here, it doesn't really show you the 8-game win streak that the Sox are currently on. But also everything's super close together. Home runs given up, home runs allowed, batting average against, batting average versus. It's always really close together. This time, though, it's just playing in the favor of the hitting. And if it continues to do so, I would expect a better regular season than in Sox past, and pushing for more success there. But let's move on now to the XBL rankings here. Let's not cut our friends in the top league here in Super Mega Baseball for short. as we see Heisman, Fizzy, and Julio aces rounding things out. Kind of cruel to see Julio ranked under Fizzy, who just got things started and has absolutely gotten clapped. But he did get one win, so I'll give him that. Now, who's taking this one away? It is Uni?
I think it's Uni.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, Julio. I mean, he jumped into the XBL after a great AAA season, and I mean, it's kind of what we expected, just because Julio's known to struggle with velocity, and when you struggle with velocity, going up ego, that's the hardest thing to adjust to, and people like to pump heat, especially on the corners in the XBL. Everybody pitches on the corners, so it's really difficult. And on top of that, Julio has to deal with people that just bop, and the entire league can hit for the most part in the XBL. So he's off to a rough start, obviously, but you're 8 games into the season. I mean, it's your rookie season. In your rookie season in the XBL, you're trying to figure out ways to just what works for you at the higher egos. So that's kind of where Julio sits right now. And now Fizzy, after a couple weeks where I was a little bit worried about the guy, came in and played quite a few games today. He started off his XBL campaign against Lazy and Luke, which, I mean, shout out to Fizzy. That didn't kick him out of the league, getting beat by those guys. I mean, he started against the best of the best, and then he was able to get that first win off of Ted. So Fizzy's got his first XBL win under his belt. You can see, I mean, the scoring has been tough. His runs allowed per 9, it's really hard to say a whole lot about that right now because half of his games are against Lazy and Luke. I mean, going further into the season, obviously you've got to score more runs than 1.45 per. And then you look at Heisman, the AAA champion, another guy that we were a little bit worried about, but he showed up and started playing games again, and so it's great to see that. And if you really look at Heisman's box scores, they speak much more fondly on the stars than his stats would say. He's actually had quite a few tough games against some decent players. He just didn't get wins, and I think if you're Heisman, based off the box scores, he's looked better than I expected him to look. So I think you're going to look for the Stars to get, I mean, a handful of wins at least. I expect them to be, out of these 3, the highest of the 3. So I think the ranking makes sense to me. Heisman's probably the most fundamental move up that I've ever seen. From the AAA to the XBL, he's got his fundamentals down, and that itself is going to get you some wins.
Missed up?
You'd have missed.
Yeah, the aces, I think are a little bit like missed right now, getting a little bit discouraged with the lack of hitting and then the runs against. But aces has actually improved his pitching a lot, so I think that's a product. The 8.14 is a product of not hitting, and all Julio has to do is don't get distracted by the quality of pitching and the speed of the pitching. Do what you can do. Wait for your pitch, and you'll be fine. Honestly, just listen to me. If you just wait for your pitch, be confident. Wait for your pitch. You can get that run scored up at least 2 points pronto. Fizzy's actually a really good hitter, so I don't know what this 1.45, I think that's just adjustment. The runs against probably adjustment too, but Fizzy actually has a lot of talent. So like Unicorn said, played some tough cats out of the bag, which is really not ideal. But just getting his feet wet in the league. And then Heisman pushed Weaver to the limit just the other night in game 1. I do think Heisman has a tendency to give up when things are not going his way, but his talent is unquestionably there. And I do believe he belongs in the XBL. For season 1, the numbers are really not that bad.
Yeah, I think all really good shouts here. All these players looking to have more success, but it all can be had. Like you said, early seasons, early goings, early fortunes, and everybody has something to play for here. We'll move on up to 16, 17, and 18. These are players that have ranked up a few more games. We've got Tap and the Flower Bombs at 4 and 14, Ted and the Dragoons at 5 and 15, and Galaxy and the Mustangs at 3 and 13. So everybody has definitely gotten a few games in so far. Their seasons are starting to take shape. So what do you think, excuse me, Unicorn?
Yeah, a good group in terms of activity. Galaxy, I think his ranking is a little bit skewed lower than where he's going to finish. I think he's someone that can make it into the playoffs, and I might be uh, a little biased because he did sweep me, and maybe that was a thing about play style because I mean, I'm an over 500 team, and he swept me really pretty handily. He seemed quite locked in, and he's got the #1 strength of schedule. So I think Galaxy just got off to a really bad start. But based off of when I played him and some of the games I've watched of him playing, he seems like he's on an upward trajectory. He actually was a decent locator, and he really had a great eye at the plate. So I'm surprised to see his runs scored that low. But I still have a lot of hope for Galaxy to be a playoff sort of team, and at 18, I think the top 6 team make it. So you're plenty much in the race. And then you've got Ted, who's been here for a ton of seasons. I think he might be a Hall of Famer, if not close to it. I don't remember exactly, but I mean, Ted is having a weaker season than we expect normally out of the Dragoons. But like everyone else at this point in the season, you got plenty of time to work with. And then the Flower Bombs, they're a close game maestro, and you can really see that on their runs scored versus runs allowed. It's a lot closer than a lot of the teams down in these rankings. He's only about 1.5 or 2 on the run differential. So I think Teflon's another one of those players like you'd expect around this range as someone that can sneak into the playoffs and cause some damage. But he's got the 5th strength of schedule as well, so I think that bodes well for him.
Yeah, I really like Galaxy as a player, so I'm not worried about, despite the 3 and 13, I'm not worried about Galaxy at all. I think this is just purely, struggles with the really tough pitches, the extra velo, and that's normal when you're kind of pushing your limit. So I want to take my hat off to Galaxy for challenging himself, coming into the top league. Even to do what he's doing takes a ton of talent. So I do think Galaxy's going to be fine. Ted, I don't know what on earth he's doing on the mound. He's improved his roster as far as pitching quite a bit. So, I mean, 4.04 is not really that bad at this level. So I don't know what on earth is going on the mound, but Ted can do way better than that. He's a good pitcher. Certainly has the talent. Again, he's almost worse with better pitchers, so I'm not sure. As far as the Flower Bombs, it's fine. Just Flower Bombs has moved up in ego a lot. People forget this, but Flower Bombs used to play at like 75 not that long ago. So Teflon, again, hats off for challenging yourself. You used to just destroy people, and then they kept moving you up and up and up and up, and now you've kind of hit a wall. But we've also seen last season a great run from Teflon to really do well, and I think Teflon just needs to, something's wrong with the hitting, but that can be straightened out.
All things can be straightened out in the XBL as long as you get good, as they say. We'll see if these players, or even gooder, yeah. We'll see what these players can do as their season wears on here. They still got plenty of games to play in hand, and that's where things start to take shape, and as they push those playoff positions. We'll move on up to 13, 14, and 15. This is the Gaxon Burning Ice, followed by Coffee and the Bluegrass Banjos, and Zlatanimo on the Habaneros. All players here that I think want to be scoring more runs as their season wears on. But the Hobbs starting off a little hotter than they usually do.
Yeah, I think if you're Zlatanimal, you're actually in a really great spot with your strength of schedule and the fact that the Hobbs are really known as a pitch-first team, especially in the XBL in the last couple seasons. His bat has struggled, so when you find yourself as Zlatanimal at 4.4 on runs scored per 9, that's a insanely good spot if you pair it with the pitching he normally has. And I think his runs allowed is going to go down a lot because he is the pitcher that he is. He's a perennial playoff cutoff sort of team since he's been into the XBL, and someone that I definitely expect to be in the playoffs if he's able to score 4 or more per game. Someone that very easily can handle some of the teams under him. but can struggle to score with the best of them, which is the same for most of us. But I think if you're Zlat and you're scoring that much, you're going to find more success this season than you normally have. And 5-7 with that strength of schedule is actually great. The Bluegrass Banjos, Black Coffee, I played him personally. If you've played Black Coffee, you know that he can crush the ball. And when I played him, he seemed very off at the plate. I was even saying it on my stream, like, what is going on? Because I threw some meatballs that he just didn't take care of the way that you expect Black Coffee to take care of them. He's a good pitcher, but it's his hitting numbers that are surprising so far. Kind of the opposite of Zatanimo right behind him. I think Black Coffee, when he looks moving forward, there's no way he's going to stay in this hitting slump. He's in a hitting slump right now. He actually finished over me last season. I believe he was a couple games over 500 as a rookie. So Black Coffee is someone that's, I still think, going to finish around 500 or better. I think he's just in a slump right now hitting-wise, and that's what kind of tanked his rank. You can see he started at rank 10 because we saw what he did last season. I expect him to get back to that standard. And then when you look at Burning Ice, it's the most typical Burning Ice you could ever expect. He's played damn near half of his season, if not more. He's, one of the top pitchers, always going to be there for the Von Asem running, even in the top division. I mean, Burning Ice, it's always the bat and how can he score. He's not going to try to kill you with runs, but he's going to try to small ball you with runs. But when it comes to this season, his batting average is under 300, near 250. So it makes it hard for him to get some of that base path activity, which he really feasts on to get his runs. So, I mean, Burning Ice is a player that you're not going to keep out of the playoffs because of his pitching, but same as every season, Ice has to figure out a way to get his runs scored up, and maybe that new right fielder he has over there, what's it called? I Eat Booty, I believe, in his right field, maybe can carry the offensive firepower.
Yeah, nobody cares about Booty. It's all about Lily Turtles, the face of the franchise. And I think Burning Ice, like you said, a very dangerous player. Of course, we'd love to see the hitting improve, but the pitching will always keep him in the game. Bluegrass Banjos, this is a little bit of a sympathy tank on offense. Black Coffee and me are really close. He saw the Myth struggling and he thought, oh, dang, I don't feel good either. But if you look at the strength of schedule 3, he knows he can't continue to hit the way he's hitting. It's not about the strength of schedule. But on the other hand, he is going to be facing some more winnable games. And if he even just comes up to what he's capable of, is going to have an over 500 season. So I expect an over 500 season from the Banjos. And then I really like the Hobbs. I think I had the Hobbs ranked at least a few spots higher. I actually thought the record was better than this, so I'm not sure. But Zlatanimal has actually played quite well this season. I do think he could get the runs against down. I'm not sure who lit him up to have that high, but it was probably like, one of those 8th innings where he ran out of pitching and somebody scored 12 runs or something. But Zlatanimal, in my opinion, playing probably the best ball of his life.
Yeah, he's been playing really, really well against a lot of tough players. Picked up the wins where he's needed to, and he's pushing 500 already early. All these players are pushing 500. They're all within 4 games under, and that's not very far when it comes down to it in the XBL. All of them looking to be in those playoff places and beyond. We'll see how the season continues to shape up for them as we move up to 10, 11, and 12. It's Uni, and then the Rhubarbs, and then AJ and the Pistons. Vegan Vibes coming back after a hiatus here at 500, and honestly, been really, really impressive.
Well, pretty interesting group, pretty variant group, I would say. Really different players on our hands right here. AJ's a player that's won the cup, and he's an absolute master at the plate. You can see his runs scored per 9 is so high, but it's the same story with AJ. It comes down to location. He can locate, and he will locate on you for vast majority of the game. But the problem when it comes to AJ is he will hang a meatball or two on you. Every inning it feels like, and the XBL, that's just not going to do it because a lot of people are going to take advantage of that. But if you watch AJ streams, he's so quick to get his eye locked in and put up massive runs on you in one inning. It's more of a matter of, can he hold you down to 5 or 6? That's all he has to hold you to for him to be able to outscore you. He's my match of the week opponent, so he's definitely scary to me with the way I've seen him put up. I think he put up 20 runs on Ted. So AJ's someone that could easily shoot up in the rankings because of his bat, but he's got to figure out how to locate more consistently. Other than Vegan, great to have Vegan back. He's got that deadly rotation, which if you're a player like me, I mean, all that velo and junk is so annoying to deal with. And then he's got one of the best, if not the best, eye in the XBL, and has actually been putting up more runs than he normally does, sitting over 4 per. He's got a really close run differential. Off to a stellar start and had a lot of good wins, including Mama Junjun and Flash that he got some wins off of. So Vegan had a really good spot for this time of the season, better than I thought he was going to be personally. But definitely with his strength of schedule in mind, he could finish over 500 and find himself in the playoffs. And with that good rotation he has, he's not a fun opponent to match up with in the playoffs. So then, I mean, me at 10, it's pretty much, I guess, where I would expect myself to be. My stats are skewed because Luke had like a 25 run differential on me, or else my stats would look a lot better. I played the worst set of my life. But overall, happy to have my record where it is with a lot of 1-run, 2-run victories. But, I mean, we'll see where it goes the rest of the way.
Yeah, a pretty boring run scored versus runs against there for Uni. Like he said, probably skewed a little bit on the pitching side, and that's where he's really done a great job, is with the pitching. I don't think a season ago we thought Uni could pitch the way he can, but apparently Uni can really pitch when he wants to. So keep it up, and maybe add 0.5 to 0.7 to that run scored, and you're right there. Vegan vibes. I don't know what happened to the offense here. It seems like Vegan was really cruising. I think was threatening top 3 to 5, and just hasn't hit lately. So still a decent season at 12-12. But I actually am looking for quite a bit more from Rachel and her crew, because I don't know what happened the last couple weeks. AJ kind of feels like that player that will always beat a player off of their game because he's just too powerful on offense. But where he really needs to dig in is it's not just pitching, it's also hitting against the tough players. I think it's just hard for him to deal with the really tough games, and it's not for lack of effort. He's a grinder. He's a total grinder. So that's why I really like AJ, and I think he can definitely get the runs allowed down, and I think he can more or less hold the runs scored even against the good players. 5+ against Weaver or Ox. So if he can get that runs allowed down to 5.5, he could move up 4 or 5 ranks just right there.
Excuse me, all of these players here obviously pushing for a top 8 spot or beyond. I mean, AJ has shown a ton of run scoring capability against pitching that, has not been at its highest capabilities thus far this season. Can he do more? Vegan's shown a ton of improvement, and then Uni on the flip side of the ball has pitched extremely, extremely well. So this is a deserving group here. Easily top 8 capable, in my opinion. But speaking of top 8 capable, these are the players here that are already in that mix. We've got Weaver and the Beavers at 7. Followed by M Bending and the Dog Pounds at 8, and then Flash and the Flashertons at 9. A little bit of a lack of games from the Flashertons. We'll see him getting started here, I believe, in this week 3. But these other 2 players, Weaver and M Bending, is plenty to talk about.
Like you said, not a lot of games out of Flash, but if there's anyone we can talk about history with and who we know about with how many games played, it's Flash. I do think when you get into the top 7 here, I mean, 7 through 12 or so, I think are quite interchangeable. I mean, even on this list, these are players I've swept or split, but whenever you get into the playoffs, I feel like is the major difference when you look from about 7 to 12. Flash has run scored. I mean, it's hard to even speak on any of his stats, really. He's played one series, and it was against Vegan. But he's someone that does usually play his games later, and Flash is known to be a good hitter. He's had a couple of down seasons, but last year he actually did advance in the playoffs quite far and had, I think he got beat at the final elimination game and the round he did lose last season. So Flash is just one of those players that he gets on and he has the skill because he's been playing for 20 seasons or whatever it is. We all know who Flash is. And then M. Bennings coming off the back of another XBL Cup. He's got a couple of them now. He just now, today, or maybe yesterday, whenever he played, started to look like his normal self. When I played him, I got the sweep, but M. Bennings did not look. It was very similar to Coffee in the sense that when I played the game, I was like, this is not the normal Bennings that I see. You could tell that he was just off. And I think he did tell me that he took a vacation, and a lot of times if you take a week or two off, it does that. So M. Bennings at 8-6 after what I would say is a slump to start his season, really on both sides. Didn't locate as well as I expected and didn't score as well as I expected. He's someone that's going to find himself in the top 8, I think, no doubt. But he's got a lot of tough players to play because his strength of schedule is at 20, and he did drop some very valuable games to players like me and Burning Ice that normally he should get a split or a sweep off of. So I'm interested to see how that might come to play late in the season when it comes to playoff seeding. And you got Weaver, who came back after, he's got 3 championships under his belt. He's pitching the way that you expect Weaver to pitch. He's an excellent pitcher, has his runs allowed at 2.6. And his run scoring has been a little inconsistent, but I think that's more so him adjusting to being back in the XBL, and just the fact that I think league-wide the pitching has gotten better. It's deeper. It's hard to put up massive runs against the vast majority of players in the league. So Weaver is, I'd say, about where we expect him to start the season. He went from 8 to 7. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can get that bat in line with this pitching as the season moves forward.
Yeah, these are exactly the numbers we want to see from Flash, if you reverse the offense and the defense. So he's only played 2 games, doesn't really mean anything, but he's probably going to score 5 or 6 runs, give up 3. So Flash will be fine. The dog pound, kind of the same thing as AJ, except much more of a pitcher, centered player. He's going to beat you if you're off your game pretty much every time. And if you're on your game, you can take him because he's not going to just score and score. So dog pound, just always a dog, going to make you earn it every single time. And that's what we love about him. And then, Weaver, I think if Weaver hadn't come back a couple seasons ago and struggled, 10-4 would probably put him in the top 2 or 3 at the absolute minimum. But there's a little bit of question, with all of the seasons off and the one's a bit of a struggle season. But you'd love to see exactly what we're seeing here because he's not a huge scorer. So 5 is really not bad because he can hold you down. So everything we're seeing from Weaver right now is great. The strength of schedule a little bit weak. But when you factor in, 10-4, and still, sort of on the comeback, looking good.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an interesting road for the Beavers so far. We've talked about him at the top of these rankings many, many times over and over again over past seasons, but will that come to fruition this season? With everybody, with the lineup packed full of OGs, everybody's back in the mix. It's going to be interesting to see how things continue to play out here for him. But M. Bennings, former Cup winner, multiple-time Cup finalist, he's been holding his own in a well-deserved rank 8. That seems to be where he kind of lives here in the XBL. And he's definitely going to want to punch up and go beyond that. But so far, so good if you're the dog pound. And then Flash, there's always a little bit of expectation on him because of the championships in the past, you'd have to think, but it will be exciting to see him try and get those games in and see if he can kind of back that up some more. Let's move up the board now to 4, 5, and 6. It is Ox and the mint green holograms, followed by the Curse and Mush and Luke and the Mallards. Now this is where you start to get to the heavy hitters. What do you think of this crew?
I mean, this is where you really get into the meat of the league and where you expect the championship players to come from, which, I mean, is easy to say, but normally you're saying that only in the top 3 or so in the XBL. Now in the XBL, I think it's probably 7, 8, 9 deep where you can legitimately say, like, okay, this guy has a chance to make it to the finals. And especially when you look at Luke, he's got a finals championship, and he's also been there and lost. He's someone that seems, compared to his previous season where he played, this season seems like, I don't know if he's on better hardware or better Wi-Fi or whatever. I think he was playing from the McDonald's basement last time he played. Now I guess he's got Etherneted up probably in his mom's basement. And so Luke is actually starting to hit the ball again. He's got almost 10 runs scored per 9. And he's not a terrible locator. The only thing that hurts Luke is that his pitchers just aren't built super strong. He relies on the bat. And Luke is someone that can definitely just beat you with the bat, so it really works out fine for him. 11-5 is actually the lower end of where you would expect Luke to be at. So I would think the Mallards are going to have a bigger difference between their wins and losses next roundup. Then we've got Mush, who hasn't lost a game yet, only played 8, but I think it's because he was in the SMNL playoffs or championship or whatever, doing other stuff. But when you look at his stats, holy crap. I mean, they're very similar to Ox's. His runs scored and his runs allowed differential is insane. It's around 5. It's Von Asen level numbers on the mound, and then you pair it with the fact that the last few seasons, Mush has became a good hitter as well. He doesn't get home runs, really. 6 home runs through 8 games is actually more than he normally gets, but he finds ways to put balls into gaps, and that's how he gets 7 runs per game. Mush is somebody that, if you're looking at taking down the top dog hitters, he's the first person I look to as someone that can shut those guys out and make it a game. Sorry. And we've seen it before whenever he made it to the finals against Lazy and kept it at a relatively low scoring affair for facing someone like Lazy. And you have Ox here at number 4, who, I mean, I know he feels underrated this season, and he's got a 13-3 record. The strength of schedule works against him, but the problem with Ox is that sometimes he drops games to players he shouldn't drop games to. I mean, he got beat by the Banjos, but the Banjos really did turn it on in that set I was watching personally. But the holograms, it's all about playoff success at this point. This is 3 or 4 seasons in a row where they're going to find themselves in the top 5 in the standings. But what's really interesting this season so far for the holograms is they're not normally along Ballo level numbers at the plate. They've always been a great pitcher, but now he's got almost 10 runs scored per 9. And if you look at his box scores, he's getting a mercy practically every set. He's getting 1 mercy. He's got to figure out how to not lax in that first game before he gets the run rule in the second game. And he's going to have less than 5 losses on the season. But like I said before, when it comes to Ox, it's not about the regular season for this guy anymore. It really isn't about the regular season for any of these 3 guys anymore. It's about the playoffs.
Yeah, let's start with Luke. I think Uni kind of showing his XBL, his SMB kind of naivety, talking about, how crappy these pitchers are for Luke, and that's his forte, is pitching with these garbage pitchers. So I would expect, even if you gave the Mallards a team of 50 pitchers across the board, should be able to do quite a bit better than 5.37, which we're not excited about at all. But in the playoffs, we know that he's going to hold people to about 3 to 3.2. So the run scored looks really good. It's going to be tougher in the playoffs when you're facing Ox and Mama and Mush, who are giving up 2.4, 2.5. Mush doing what Mush does, making me look bad. I kind of overlooked him in the preseason rankings, and so even though I built his beautiful logo here, he kind of clowned me for forgetting about him, which is actually true. Mush is going to be a contender. And then Ox just playing out of his mind. Again, Uni nailed it. This is the last several seasons. I think Ox has felt like he doesn't belong, and he's just having to pull every rabbit he can out of his hat to be in the top 5. And I think this is finally the season where Ox realizes that he actually is possibly the best player, one of the top couple, and the numbers certainly would back that up.
Yeah, all these players here have been, top 4 in their own right. Luke and Mush both runners up in playoffs in the past. Ox, like you both said, looking for more success in that right. But all of them well deserving of their placements here, and I think can finish in that top 4 or beyond should things go their way. Move on up to the top 3 of the XBL, and without further ado, the top 3 players in all of the standings this roundup are Wishbone at the top at 6-0. He's swept Lazy already, and Lazy's at rank number 2, and he's tied with Mama for rank number 2, believe it or not. So, I mean, not a lot of differentiating between this crew. Besides that one match of the week, I feel like that's already been played.
Yeah, I mean, and saying group 1 through 6 all the way is quite interchangeable, I would say. With Mama, he started off 12-0, but did slip up and let me and the Rhubarbs get a split. I blame the hot mic for that. I don't think I would have gotten a split off of Mama if it wasn't for the hot mic. So that's the trick if you want to beat him. But when you look at Mama's stats, he's pitching the way he always pitches, but only 5.75 runs scored. That's not the typical Mama. He normally hits much better than that. So I think you're going to see his runs scored per 9 go up. The fact he's 14-2 with his weaker bat this season, I think speaks volumes. He's someone that's going to, I think, finish in the top 3 or 4, no doubt, because he's going to bat better and he's going to keep his pitching where it's at. So, I mean, same with a lot of these players. It's all about the playoffs for Mama. He made it to the World Series last year and definitely was not happy with his performance on that main stage. And it's even tougher this season to get back to that point. But he seems like he definitely has the skill for it. And then Lazy here at 2, I mean, a rare number 2 spot for Lazy. He almost always finds himself in the number 1 spot, but you can't rank him number 1 when he got swept by the guy right above him on Match of the Week. But as drastically bad as the first game on Match of the Week looked, in the second game towards the late innings, you saw the real Lazy. You saw that he can absolutely match the ball and put 10 runs up on you in an inning where he almost came back against Wish. And Wish is a Von Asen level pitcher, if not the Von Asen level pitcher. He's got multiple of them in the XBL. So Lazy, I mean, at 5-3 is stupid. Like, he might only lose three games the entire season. He's 5-3 right now, and he might finish 35-3 or whatever it might be. So do not worry about Lazy. Don't worry about his runs allowed per 9 either. That's also going to come down. And his runs scored per 9 very well could go up. He's Lazy. So, I mean, there's not much to say about someone that's already got all of these records in the history books and things like that. He's Lazy. And you got Wishbone, who's made an absolutely dramatic statement, I think, as big of a statement as you could have, coming back from winning a championship and you're still not the favorite the next season because someone like Lazy came back, and then Wishbone hops on Match of the Week, takes care of business, and takes the number 1 spot. Like, Wishbone absolutely, I think, deserves a number 1 spot because not only can he hit like a long ballo talent, he's also got Von Asen pitching. I mean, there's not anyone else in the league that consistently pitches as well as Wishbone. If you watch him pitch, his location is it's unmatched, really, and it's been going that way since the playoffs of last season. He just found another gear, and he's remained in that gear to start this season. Only 6 games in is the only thing you can really, like, I guess, kind of knock a little bit. But Wishbone is someone that legitimately, now that he's gotten through Lazy, could legitimately go undefeated and no one would be surprised.
Yeah, I'd like to see a little bit stronger offense from Mama June. This is the player everybody wishes they were. You know, the exciting young kid that's got all the talent in the world, and has really learned to pitch. You know, the numbers are good. They're certainly good. I think he can do even better. 14-2 is fantastic. I think he's just a victim as far as rankings of these 2, you know, ex-champions. So he's not an ex-champion. You've got Wishbone, who should be exactly where he is at number 1, and then the Black Jackals. Too. People were starting to rank, you know, 4th, 5th, 6th after a little bit of a slow start. but this is the type of legend that it only takes 1 or 2 blowouts to move up those rankings rather quickly.
Yeah, like you said, these things can change when you start getting a few more wins under your belt. But all 3 of these players, I think, are extremely well deserving, all in their own right. I think the play on the field has differentiated them as they stand. So shout out to the XBL, shout out to the AAA. All these rankings here were really good tonight. And since we had to kind of stop in the middle, I do have to double check before I move on with my friend Unicorn. But are you ready for our next segment, sir?
Good to go, bro. Let's give the people what they want. Screw Twitch.
All right, people. We're finishing this punk rock XBL roundup here tonight. Instead of plays of the week, we're just going to go ahead and give you our unicorn of the week. Now, this player is extremely well deserving here. And we're going to shout out Uni here for putting this together as always and making this a super fun thing. So let me get him pulled up as we reveal to you our first season 20 unicorn of the week. It is Albrecht.
Yeah.
What's up, y'all? I think I'm on. Yeah, it's a little bit messed up because of the whole Twitch thing. So, Albrecht, I'm sorry. First off, Twitch screwed us. So you don't get your Twitch scene where I had all the beautiful Albrecht stats and everything set up. But also, Amazon screwed us by only giving me the glasses on your costume. This is... Can y'all see it? It's a cactus, okay? San Antonio Cacti. So let's talk about Albrecht a little bit, and someone that has been on the absolute skyrocket trajectory, okay? This dude, the San Antonio native, okay? Whatever's going on in San Antonio with the big women, they are treating Albrecht right because he is absolutely locked in this AAA season, and he was locked in last AA season. So he found himself a big San Antonio woman, and he is eating well. And this is how he's eating. So in his 3 previous AAA seasons, all right? He had a record of 37 and 71 in the AAA, okay? That's a 34% win rate. And you look at his standings now, he's at 13 and 3. 13 and 3 versus 37 and 71. You're flipping a 34% win rate into an 82% win rate. Are you kidding me? Monumental change from the Cacti. His previous run differential in the AAA, minus 178. Minus 178, bruv. Not good. Okay? But then you look at this season and it's all happy joy. It's all cactus. And he's got a plus 55 run differential, which is best for 3rd in the league. And this is a league full of boppers this season in the AAA. Then you look at his last season in the AAA. If we want to talk about some recency bias and maybe why the rankers, I think, justifiably put him pretty low. In season 17, he scored only 1.94 runs per 9. Okay, Albrecht could not hit the baseball, bro. Just be straight up, could not hit the baseball. And I think he actually was the Pirates back then. He had a whole name change because he got so much trauma. And he also gave up 5 runs per 9, okay? So his run differential was around -3, and it really, really was bad on the hitting side. And let me tell you this, in his last season, zero sweeps with the W, okay? Did not sweep a single person on the victory side. That's terrible, right? Bob, listen, if you're listening, buddy, that's the past, brother. It's the past. It's season 20 now, bro. Let's talk about some season 20 stuff. It's much, much better. In season 20, his runs scored per 9 almost tripled it. Over 5 runs scored per 9, around 5.5, which is good for 8th in the league. And whenever you looked at Albrecht before, it was, okay, this guy can't hit the ball. Now all of a sudden he's top 8 in runs scored per 9. Bro is knocking around the baseball. But not only did he do that, already a great pitcher, became an even better pitcher, bro. An even better pitcher. Only giving up 2.16 per 9 right now, okay? Okay, stingy, stickler on the mound. Good for 2nd in ERA in the AAA. And at number 1 is Ricks with like 0.04 more, and he's played like 4 games, bro. Come on. I mean, Albrecht really, in my mind, is the best pitcher in the AAA right now. And we talked about the 0 sweeps in his last season. Bro, he's got 5 sweeps already to start the season, and he has yet to have been swept. The guy is on an absolute mission to start his AAA campaign here in Season 20. One of the greatest stories we have ever seen in terms of rapid improvement, okay? And he was in the AA last season. Let me talk about this a little bit. I talked about he had 5 sweeps already to start this season. He only had 6 sweeps in the AA last season. He's already almost matched that season, and he is in a higher league against better players, higher ego. All right. He's also giving up half as many runs. Half as many runs as he did in the AA and the AAA. Better batters, yet giving up half as many runs. Talk about improvement. And he also has a higher run differential than he did in the AA. So this guy went down, struggled in the AAA, went down to the AA, actually did pretty good. And it was like, oh, awesome. And he was at AAA ego, but you could kind of say like, oh, well, it's AAA ego, but you're against AA players. And Albrat, he doesn't care, bro. He jumped up to the AAA, and he's actually improving on what he did. And so when you look at Albrat, has to win Unicorn of the Week. I'm sorry the outfit did not come in. I will get it in, and I will send a picture in the chat. Sorry that Twitch is trying to ruin our lives, so you didn't get the full thing. But Albrat, so much deserving. I had no option but to pick you the way you started Season 20. The Cacti are on the rise, bro. Albrat, absolute dog in the AAA. And, yeah, that's how you get your Unicorn of the Week. Be like Albrat.
Yeah, I mean, bro, you laid it down. And especially on the back of what happened tonight here with the stream and everything. Thank you for bringing the fucking passion. That is what we want to see here on the channel. But the channel, maybe the channel's dead. I don't know what the fuck happened to the channel. But we can say that word on my stream, and that's where we're at right now. So, listen, we're all here. That's all we got for you tonight. Because plays of the week may have gotten us compromised. We're not 100% sure.
Are you blaming me?
No, the way I had things set up, there was Twitch windows open. I don't really know. Like, there's a lot of speculation that can be had here, as far as what's actually going on. But as you all read, the violation was for rebroadcasting content, right? And that's 90% of what we actually do on the channel. So we're gonna figure out a way around that in the best way that we can. Maybe it's pre-recording more or things like that. Maybe it's adding a different few letters to the channel and going from there, but we'll figure that out. In the meantime, things will not be hosted mainly on my channel or anybody's personal stream. We'll still figure out a way to have a community stream. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that before we leave here tonight. But thank you, Uni, for absolutely bringing the heat with that. And thank you to Mystery Man, as always, for bringing the analysis and all the passion as well. You guys did great tonight. Do you guys have anything before we leave tonight? Misto?
No, all good. Uni saved our buns here with just a absolutely incredible rant there about Albrat, who I kind of talked down.
That was pretty epic.
So now I feel kind of bad, but I actually don't feel bad because Uni said, nah, we're not doing that.
That was cool. Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, you can't talk down on the man that wins Unicorn of the Week. Also, for some reason, every time I wear this wig, the horn gets more and more to the side of my head. So if anyone has a good unicorn wig that they can throw me, I will much appreciate it, because I'm turning into
now a
like,
tumor.
I don't even know what I am anymore. I'm something else, but I'm as close to a cactus as I could have been. But yeah, I mean, screw Twitch, screw whoever did it. It doesn't matter. We still got through the show. Everyone got their rankings. We still got it handed out. All we really missed was the stat lines and the highlights, which I'm sure we'll get to y'all later. So thanks to everyone for fighting through it and hopping on Dwayne's Twitch. I'm sure he was kind of farming some ad money, so good for him. But
yeah, probably got like 30. Probably got about $1, maybe. Not quite. You know what I mean?
We'll fund
see.
that into the league office. We'll funnel it in. But regardless,
Yeah, we'll
thanks to
make
everyone
sure that
for watching
goes back
tonight.
into the league. Yeah, we'll make sure all that good stuff goes back into the league. You guys are great. Thanks for jumping in. The viewership was as consistent as it was on the main channel, so that shows me that the passion is there. You guys are great. We'll see you next time, hopefully on